Two of the top prosecutors from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office working on the criminal investigation into the Trump Organization have resigned. Mark Pomerantz and Kerry Dunn were key players in the ongoing probe, which has already led to fraud and tax evasion charges against the company and its chief financial officer. Their departure comes as the investigation builds. On Tuesday, attorneys for the Trump Organization and CFO Alan Weisselberg filed to dismiss the case. Manhattan Attorney General Letitia James is running a parallel investigation in which Mr. Trump and two of his children must be deposed. CBS News investigative reporter Graham Cates has been following the investigation, and he joins me now. Graham, do we know anything about why these prosecutors resigned?
We don't know the specific reason why they resigned, but we do know that a very big change happened in that office in the last 2 months, which is that the previous district attorney, Cyrus Vance, left office, and the newly elected district attorney, Alvin Bragg, came into office. And as recently as about a month ago, he expressed confidence in the people leading this investigation. But the entire time he was campaigning, and I spoke to him about this, he said while he had his own experience investigating the Trump Organization and various Trump entities, that once he became district attorney, he said he would review the case before he made any decisions. He never promised, I'm going to make further charges or go after this any further. He said, once I get to see all the evidence, I'll make decisions. And so what we know is we got a new district attorney, and then the two people leading the case have resigned. And there are people who are kind of connecting those dots, thinking maybe the new district attorney isn't happy with the work that has been done or with their progress.
Where does the criminal investigation currently stand?
Last year, the Trump Organization and its CFO, Alan Weisselberg, were charged with tax evasion and financial fraud. And then there's a grand jury that has been continuing to investigate the wider Trump Organization, but no new charges have come down. And the most recent action in the case, and there hasn't been really any public filings until this week for several months, and that was the Trump Organization, and as you said, Alan Weisselberg, submitting motions to dismiss the case. And the Manhattan District Attorney now has a little bit of time to respond to those motions before the judge makes his decision.
And as we mentioned earlier, Attorney General Letitia James is also conducting a civil investigation here. But what has she said specifically about the criminal probe?
She said that her office is involved in it. She has a couple of her investigators working, kind of deputized to work with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. She's kind of indicated that she's believed it's a strong case. And of course, if you're the Trump Organization, they've said it's inappropriate for her to be talking about the criminal case at all. And actually, her involvement in it has become a point of dispute in both her investigation and in the criminal case.
Could depositions by former President Trump, Ivanka Trump, and Donald Trump Jr. for the civil investigation impact the criminal case?
It kind of depends on who you ask. The lawyers for the Trump Organization and Donald Trump and Ivanka Trump and Donald Trump Jr. say that's the #1 concern they have. They say if they give a deposition to Letitia James's office, it would be a civil deposition, which would mean they wouldn't get any immunity for the things they say. And they say there's no reason why the Attorney General couldn't just turn over those depositions to the Manhattan District Attorney, who could then use them for his criminal case. And in fact, actually, the Attorney General's office at a recent hearing said that's basically right. They would have the right to do that, although they're not promising they would. And so that's been this real point of contention, because in New York, if you testify before a grand jury, you get implied immunity, which means you're not going to be prosecuted for the things you say. And so Donald Trump's lawyer, for instance, has said if the Manhattan District Attorney wants to call Donald Trump before the grand jury, give him immunity for his testimony, he's free to do that. But we don't want to just submit our clients to Letitia James, who would be within her rights to turn that material over to criminal investigators.
Graham Cates, thank you.
Thank you.